there's people out there that own trucks that don't understand their numbers, that don't know the numbers. This is the main reason why truck owners are broke, because they don't know their numbers. Sure, there's other things that happen, unforeseen things, breakdowns they didn't plan for, unexpected things, obviously, but I'm talking about people that's running cheap, people that's running their truck and hauling cheap freight. These people don't know their numbers. So I'm gonna run through some numbers for the purpose of that. Like, you're gonna understand how much it costs to run a truck based on, what I'm gonna share with you in this video. And also, here's a little backstory. I did 2 videos in the last few weeks, mainly focused on whether I believe it's worth it to be an owner operator in 2024. And in those videos, I talked about how the particular day that I did the video, I talked about how much I grossed that day, which was $700, $600 after fuel, and how if you times that out by 5 days in a week, that would be a $3,000 week. And based on that figure, I felt like it was worth it to me it is anyway, to be an owner operator here in 2024 going into 2025. And then I did a follow-up video on that subject as well, where I responded to some of the people that was commenting on the first video around the subject of $3,000 a week not being enough to make it worthwhile to be an owner-operator. So in this video, I'm going to talk to some of the comments that I got from the second video. I got a lot of comments. Some of them were still around the subject of $3,000 a week not being enough to run a truck once you pay all the bills, once you pay all your overhead. I focused on those first 2 videos on just talking about fuel, but people in the comments are like, well, you're not factoring in all the expenses. You need to do another breakdown so you can show people how, with all of the expenses, $3,000 is really not enough, and you really ain't doing nothing but working for the fuel. I kind of want to deal with all of that in this video to kind of show you how I make $3,000 a week work, or how I can make $3,000 a week work. And you're going to also understand how the numbers break down as far as the cost of owning a truck. So for me, I'm going to start with insurance, commercial truck insurance. I pay $600 a month for insurance. People pay a lot more than that in some cases for their insurance. I got heavy highway use, 2290 and tags put together. Heavy highway use is $500 for the year. Tags is $500 for the quarter. I'm an intrastate owner operator, so I have in-state tags and I renew them quarterly. It's $500 a quarter. That's $2,000 a year for tags, plus $500 a year for heavy highway use. That's $2,500 for the year for the both. Break that down into $200 per month. I pay $2,000 a month approximately for fuel, and that's based on the figures that I went over in the video. Gross is $700 on the original video. Gross is $700, $600 after fuel breaks down to $3,000 for the week after fuel. That's the figures that we're using for that. So in that, it costs me $100 a day in fuel, $500 a week, $2,000 a month to gross that figure. And I got added in $1,500 a month for maintenance and repair. I'm not spending $1,500 a month for maintenance and repair. One reason why is because I'm only running 3,000 miles a month. I'm not running many miles a month, 750 miles a week, based on that particular day, which was 150 miles that day. So maintenance and repair is not much because you're running less. The more you run, the more that bill is going to be. And I got $125 a month figured in for truck parking. I don't park my truck at my house. Some of you guys would have truck parking bills that would be more than that because you're parking at more expensive places, truck stops and stuff. I got $200 figured in for quick pay. So I won't have to wait, however much, 60 days, 45 days, 90 days, whatever, to get paid. I think quick pay is like 1.5% of the gross. It ain't enough to even be talking about, but I got it figured up on here. That gives a total, as far as my expenses, for is $4,625 for the month. That includes everything, maintenance, fuel, and all. Breaks down to $1,156.25 per week that needs to come out of the $3,500 a week gross. Once you subtract that, it leaves a net profit after all expenses of $2,343.75. Now, if you're the owner of the truck and you're the operator of the truck, in that scenario, you got $2,400 a month. And out of that, what you got to do is make it personally. You got to take care of your personal obligations, and that includes saving on the personal side. And you also got to cover your taxes. You got to cover your tax bill as well. But that's basically, we'll just say $10,000 a month. That's $120,000 a year. Again, I would say that it's worth it to be an owner operator based on those numbers. Would you like to make more? Absolutely. That's not what we're talking about in this series of videos. Keep in mind also that, that particular day, that was only 5 hours worth of work that had to be done. So, like, all things are relative. What you got to do to make the money is relative. How long it takes you to make the money is relative. But that is how I, as an owner operator, make it work and pay all of my bills and keep everything done off of $3,500 a month. $3,500 a week gross. Now let's go a step further. If an individual is just an owner and not an operator, like they got a driver in the truck, like a lot of people do. When I was a driver of my dad's truck, my dad always paid me a third of what the truck grossed, 33%. I don't know if most people are paying that. I know a lot of owners that have second and third trucks that pay their drivers a third, but I hear 30% a lot. I hear 25% a lot. But if we divide $3,500 gross by 3, that means a driver makes $1,166. That's driver pay. So the driver makes $1,150, we'll just call it, for 5 or 6 hours worth of work per day, because that's what had to be done for the truck to gross to $3,500. I would say if I was looking for a driver for that situation, as long as the job isn't too hard, it would be pretty easy to find a driver, somebody that would be willing to take home make $1,150 for the week gross, but they're only doing 5 hours worth of work a day. I think a driver would go for that. And if I'm the owner of the truck in that situation, then my truck netted me, after all expenses, driver pay, fuel, maintenance, and all of that, $1,177.75 for the week. So then at that point, as the owner, the only thing I would have to cover is my taxes. And basically, I've got a truck that is making, we'll just call it passive income. It's not passive, but as the owner and I'm not driving it, I got a truck out there and I'm making $1,100 to $1,200 a week. We'll just call it $1,000 a week passive income on my truck. I would say that's a good deal for a person that wanted to own a truck under the numbers that I shared in these original videos. So that's how it breaks down in my mind. You guys can leave your comments as far as if you feel that $3,500 a week still isn't enough to make it work. I know a lot with truck drivers, a lot of the times we feel like we always looking at things from the perspective of how we do things. And so, like, you can't look at your expenses and try to fit them into my gross revenue. Obviously, if you got high expenses and you're doing that, you're going to look at my gross revenue and say, man, that can't work. But that's only because you're looking at it from your perspective, from how many expenses you're used to having as a truck owner. So, like I said, as an intrastate owner operator, the way I run, I don't have a lot of the other expenses that a lot of owner operators have. People ask questions all the time when I do these breakdowns on my videos. Well, what about tolls, and what about IFTA, and what about this, and what about that? If you didn't see the expenses on the list of expenses that you see right here at the top of your screen, at the top of this list right here, then I don't have them. I just don't have them. So, like, it's all in how you're set up and how you're doing things. So hope that this video was somewhat enlightening to you guys. If you didn't have a full scope of what it costs to run a truck, leave your comments, good or bad, down in the comment section of this video. I appreciate you watching.